$412. That's what's left after rent this month. You're sitting on the floor of your apartment, no couch yet, writing that number down in a notebook you just bought. Your roommate thinks you're being dramatic. You're not being dramatic, you're being scared. And scared looks a lot like discipline from the outside. You're 22, first real paycheck, $1,100 after taxes. Your job is logistics coordination for a regional freight company outside Richmond. The office smells like burnt coffee and cardboard. Your manager's name is Grant. He explains things once, then walks away. You learn fast because you have to. Rent is $510. A room, not an apartment. 2 roommates. A kitchen that's never really yours. You open a Roth IRA on a Sunday night? $50. That's it. That's the whole deposit. It feels like nothing. It feels like dropping a coin into a well and never hearing it hit water. You write it in the notebook. $50, moved. Balance remaining, $362. You don't know why you're writing it down. You just know the bank doesn't care about you yet, and you want something that does. Here's the part nobody tells you about being 22 and broke. The bank isn't cruel to you. It's just not paying attention. You try to open a credit card. Real one, unsecured, denied. Not because you did anything wrong, because you don't exist yet, not on paper. The only card they'll give you needs your own money behind it, $300, held hostage so they can lend it back to you and charge you for the privilege. You don't take it. Your car is a Honda with 140,000 miles on it. The check engine light's been on so long it's basically part of the dashboard now. Your coworker Theo asks if you want to grab lunch. Real lunch, sit down. You say you already ate. You didn't. That's not sad. That's just Tuesday. The first rule. At 22, money doesn't listen to you yet. You're the one doing all the listening. 2 years pass. Not much changes, that's the honest way to say it. You get a raise, $1,200 a month now after taxes. You bump the Roth to $75 a payday, then $100, then the transmission goes. Not slowly, not a warning light. Just dead on a Thursday in a grocery store parking lot. $440 to fix it. You don't have $440 sitting around. You have savings, which used to feel like the same thing. It's not. You pull it. Your account goes from $890 to $450 in one transfer. You write it in the notebook, not just the number. Something else too, a new column. You didn't plan it. It just showed up. What I missed. First entry, Theo's birthday dinner. $40. You said you had a work thing. You didn't have a work thing. Nobody makes you write that down. You just start doing it. Because somewhere between the transmission and the notebook, you notice something. You're not tracking money anymore. You're tracking what the money is quietly replacing. Theo doesn't do this math. Theo makes about what you make, works at the same company, and believes, genuinely, not carelessly, that 24 is for living, not for spreadsheets. He buys a used motorcycle that spring, $1,700. Every weekend after that, he's out on it with 3 other guys from the warehouse, putting real miles on it, showing up Monday with stories you don't have. You don't judge him for it. He's not reckless. He bought something he actually uses, and it's already given him more good Saturdays than your notebook has given you peace of mind. Neither of you knows yet which kind of 24 costs more. Maybe neither of you is wrong yet. By the end of the year, the Roth sits at $2,300. It's not a fortune. It's proof the machine works. It's also the last year money is going to feel this simple. Here's the part nobody puts in the thumbnail. It's not the big purchase that gets you. It's not the car, not the emergency. It's the small no you say so quietly that nobody, including you, notices you said it. 2 years pass again. Nothing dramatic. Just Tuesdays stacked on top of each other. You get another raise, $52,000 now. You bump the Roth again, $150 a payday. You open a taxable brokerage account on the side, almost as an afterthought. You put in $50 just to see what it feels like. It feels like nothing. Same as always. Then on a random Sunday morning, making coffee, you check the number. $20,100. Combined. It's not one big win, it's 3 small things stacked on top of each other. 2 raises in 2 years, an employer match you finally started claiming in full, and 4 years of contributions that started compounding on top of each other instead of just sitting there. $20,000 is what patience looks like after 4 years. Nothing more mysterious than that. You don't tell anyone. There's nobody to tell. It's not a party. The bank notices your pattern before you notice what it's becoming. A letter shows up. Your credit limit went from $800 to $2,500. Nobody calls to explain it, but the reason isn't a mystery. Your payments are always on time. Your balance stays low. Your income moved up twice in 2 years. That's the whole formula. No magic to it. Theo gets promoted around the same time. New title, same job, basically, and a new watch to go with it. A real one. $2,000. Financed over 18 months. He shows it to you in the break room, genuinely happy. You're happy for him. You mean that. You also notice quietly without saying anything that you could pay for that watch in cash right now and never think about it again. You don't buy a watch. You buy nothing, actually. You write the $20,000 in the notebook, next to the old $50 entry from 4 years ago, and for one full page, you don't write anything in the what I missed column. Not because you didn't miss anything, because for the first time, missing it didn't feel like the price. It felt like the plan. You're 28 when the market drops 14% in 6 weeks. Your account goes from $61,000 to $52,500. $9,000 gone in about the time it takes to plan a vacation. You check the app 4 times a day, then 6. Your girlfriend Whitney finds you doing it at midnight, phone lit up in a dark kitchen, and doesn't say anything, just puts a hand on your shoulder and goes back to bed. Theo, meanwhile, is telling everyone at work he got out in time. Sold his 401k the week before the drop, moved it all to cash. You don't say what you're thinking. Which is that nobody actually timed that. He got lucky on the exit, and getting lucky once is not a strategy. You don't sell. It's not confidence. It's closer to stubbornness, and it helps that you're not planning to touch this money for another 20 years. There's a woman at your company named Nadia. Dispatch supervisor. Been there longer than you've been alive. You're venting to her in the break room about the drop, about watching the number bleed, and she doesn't even look up from her sandwich. She says one sentence. The money that scares you right now is the same money that won't mean anything to you later. You nod as you understand it. You didn't. Not really. Not yet. You write it in the notebook anyway, word for word, because something about it feels like it's going to matter later. Even if it doesn't matter today. 6 weeks after the bottom, the account isn't just back to 61,000, it's at 68,200. The recovery didn't reward you for calling the bottom. Nobody calls the bottom. It rewarded you because you didn't need that money yet. And the emergency fund sitting in a separate account meant you never had to touch the part that was down. That winter, your dad calls. His knee surgery isn't fully covered. $2,800 out of pocket. You cover it. Straight from the cash cushion, not the investments. You don't touch what's working. He says thank you. That's all. But something in his voice tells you this is the first time the money has done something other than solve your own problems. You write that in the notebook too, not under what I missed, a new column. You don't name it yet, you just know it belongs somewhere else. You're 30. The portfolio sits at $147,000. The market has had an unusually strong year, up about 24%. Your accounts grow by roughly $31,000 without you adding a single extra dollar beyond your usual $700 a month. It's not magic. It's just math finally catching up. 8 years of contributions mean there's a much bigger base for that 24% to work on now than there was at 26. The same percentage move means a much bigger dollar number when the pile underneath it is bigger. Your salary that year, after taxes, comes out to around $52,000. $31,000 from the market, $52,000 from working every day, all year, full time. You do the math 3 times. You don't trust it the first 2. Nadia calls it the crossover when you finally mention it to her, says it like it's obvious. To her it is. She crossed that line 15 years ago and never once mentioned it, still drives the same Corolla, still brings the same lunch every day. It's not that you stop needing the job, she says, it's that the job stops being the only engine. You write that one down too. The second column now has a name. You call it What's Running Without Me. Around this time, you notice something that has nothing to do with the account balance. You've said no to things for 8 years straight. Small no's, quiet ones, the kind nobody claps for. And somewhere in those 8 years, saying no stopped feeling like a sacrifice. It just became who you are. That's the part they don't teach you about compound interest. Everybody explains how money multiplies quietly in the background. Nobody tells you the same thing happens to your habits. The first no costs you something. It hurts a little every time for a while. By the 50th no, it doesn't cost you anything at all. It's just Tuesday. The discipline compounds the exact same way the dollars do. Slow, invisible, then suddenly it's just who you are, and you can't remember choosing it. Theo gets a promotion. New office, new title, a BMW on a 72-month loan. He needed the reliability. His old car had already stranded him twice on the highway before a client meeting. And the new commute cut 40 minutes off his day. Both ways. You don't say anything about the loan. You just notice quietly, the way you notice most things now, that his version of security and yours have started speaking two different languages. That doesn't make him wrong. You're 32. The portfolio crosses $310,000. 2 more years of raises, 2 more years of contributions stacking on top of a base that was already $147,000. At this size, the market is doing its normal, boring, historical average and does more work in a year than it used to do in 5. For the first time, freedom stops being a word in a book. It shows up in small refusals before it shows up in anything big. Your company offers you a lateral move, more money, more hours, a title bump that would have thrilled you 5 years ago. You turn it down, not because you don't want the money, because you run the math. And the extra $6,000 a year isn't worth 10 more hours a week of a life you're finally starting to enjoy having outside of work. Grant, your old manager, still there, still explaining things once and walking away, looks genuinely confused. Most people would kill for this, he says. You don't correct him. You just say you're good where you are. Which is true, in a way. He doesn't have the context to understand. A pipe bursts in your dad's basement that summer. Real emergency. $7,800 in repairs and mold work. His insurance is slow, dragging its feet the way insurance does. You write the check without checking the balance. Without doing math at all. That absence of math is the whole point. 4 years ago, this bill would have needed a spreadsheet and a few sleepless nights. Now it needs one phone call to your bank and nothing else. Theo, meanwhile, is renovating a kitchen he financed at almost 9% interest because the equity line was basically free money, in his words. His wife's been wanting that kitchen for 3 years, and this summer, for the first time, family dinners actually happen there instead of takeout on the couch. You don't judge him for it. On paper, his balance sheet looks worse than yours. Maybe he's not worse off. That's the part a notebook can't measure. You take a Tuesday off for no reason, just because. Hike with Whitney instead of answering emails. 5 years ago, that would have felt irresponsible. Now it feels like the entire point. Here's what you're starting to understand, slowly, the way you understand most things now. Freedom was never going to arrive as one dramatic moment. It arrived as a string of small refusals nobody else could see. The promotion you didn't take, the car you didn't upgrade, the loan you didn't sign, choosing to instead of having to. But freedom has a bill of its own. You haven't seen it yet. You're 33. The portfolio crosses $400,000. It arrives with no ceremony. You're making coffee again. Funny how it's always coffee. And you just notice the number. You don't screenshot it. You don't tell anyone. That same week, your sister calls, says mom's been more tired lately, says maybe you should come by soon. You said so soon before. 4 times this year, actually. You know because you checked the notebook. You've been busy, real busy. A project at work, a home renovation with Whitney. You tell your sister you'll come next weekend. Next weekend, something comes up. You write it down anyway, not the excuse, just the fact. Missed Sunday, told myself I'd go next time. The notebook doesn't ask why, it just keeps the count. 3 weeks later, you finally drive out. Your mom's in the kitchen, same chair, same spot at the table she sat in your whole life. She looks smaller than you remember, slower reaching for the coffee pot than she used to be. You sit with her for 2 hours. She asks about work, you give her the short version. Driving home, you do the math you swore you'd never do in a car. How many Sundays did you skip this year? You don't have an exact number. You know it's not 0. Nadia doesn't offer a rule this time when you mention it at work. She just says one thing, quieter than usual. Nobody warns you that the discipline that builds the money is the same discipline that can cost you the years. She's not being harsh. She's just finally saying the rest of the sentence she gave you 5 years ago in that break room. You go home. Whitney's there. You open the notebook to the first page, $412 11 years ago, a kid on the floor of an apartment with no couch. And you read it for a long time before closing it again. You're 34 now. Kitchen table again. Different kitchen this time. A house you and Whitney own out past the edge of town. The notebook's still around, beat up now. Coffee ring on the cover. The corner of the first page is soft from being turned so many times. You flip to that page sometimes. $412. A kid who thought if he just got to 20,000, then 100,000, then whatever came after that, the fear would stop. He wasn't wrong about the piece. He just didn't know what it would be sitting next to. You call your mom more now. The dollars were never the actual currency. Time was. The money was just a clumsy way of trying to buy some of it back. That column in the notebook, what I missed, doesn't zero out just because the other number got big enough. Your dad's toolbox is still in his garage. You haven't opened it. Some Saturday soon, you will. The number in your account is real. What it costs to get there is real too. Neither one cancels the other out. Somewhere right now, in a different city, a 22-year-old is sitting on the floor of an apartment with no couch yet. They just bought a $5 notebook. They're writing down a number they're scared of. They don't know yet what it's going to cost them to fill the pages.